Okay, you said Ari too?
Oliver?
Let's see, I don't see.
Yeah, Ari's not here. She has a class that goes until 1, so I'm going to be doing the presentation, at least until we can hand off more of the co-leading roles for our team to Abigail, who's the co-lead.
Yeah, no
Okay,
worries. I
perfect.
just hooked you up. So everyone
Cool.
that was listed should have co-host abilities now. Anyway, if you want to go ahead and kick it off, I don't really have too many lab updates. Just keep up the good work. Um, you know, a lot of stuff going on. Just keep yourselves healthy and all that type of stuff because, you know, the mask mandates, we don't know what's going to be happening over the next few weeks. So keep your eyes and your wits about you and all that type of good stuff. Yeah, so Cameron, you want to go ahead and kick us off with TensorFlow?
Yeah, I do feel bad because my update was that this week I had been slammed with deadlines for today, so I did not get a chance to meet with people. So we have not done much, but I have met with a couple of people on the team individually, just helping get the system set up. So I feel bad because I know that's like not what we want our kind of updates to be. But I am going to be ready and down to do a TensorFlow update next week if we've got presentation spots. I can screen share and show my own project work on it. So that's really about it.
Yeah, sounds good. So right now we have, I believe, and sorry, I don't see you on my screen. Wait, Team Sensible's presentation.
Oh yeah. Did you want me to go or like right now?
Yes, please.
Oh yeah, for
if
sure.
you are ready. Only if you're ready.
Definitely. Okay. Are we good to go?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So I guess this is just meant to be like an introductory presentation to the team. Since we've been able to meet the past couple of weeks, we actually have a little bit of work, like ongoing work that we'll also present, but just those two things. And then sort of following along with that. So hopefully we'll start with some introductions and then sort of introduce the scope and sort of mission of this project. And then we'll go over some of the past work that's been done and then some of the future work and the goals that we want to achieve. And then sort of quickly touch on some ongoing things that have been happening the past couple of weeks, and then open up the floor to some questions or feedback. Okay, so I couldn't find pictures of everyone on the team, so I pulled pictures of like animals. So I'm Anthony. I'm a current junior majoring in mechanical engineering, and I'm one of the co-leads of this team along with Sohom. So he's going to come at around 1. And he's a current sophomore majoring in mechanical engineering and minoring in EECS. And then we have Aman and Whitney. So Aman is a current sophomore majoring in public health and minoring in data science. And Whitney has already graduated and working in industry, but she holds a master's degree in bioengineering. And then on the other side, we have Talia and Shannon, who are both high school seniors. And then Talia is helping us out with sort of things on the hardware and prototyping side. And then Shannon's helping us out on the CS and sort of machine learning side of things. Great. So I sort of want to introduce, I guess, why this project is even a thing by sort of talking about how programmers traditionally code. So, you know, writing code is kind of a new thing, to be honest. It's only been really mainstream for the past decade or two. And in this time, sort of the tools that people have developed rely heavily on sort of using a screen or keyboard to produce these lines of code. And these things, I mean, they were designed by able-bodied people. So the people who like wrote these languages and who came up with sort of the syntax and sort of the language and the norms for writing code did so with the with like able-bodiedness in mind. So when adapting these tools to people who like are blind or low vision, current like approaches sort of keep a lot of the same structure in mind, but the only thing they do is sort of tweak parts of it to help blind or low vision users use the mic program. So in this case, one thing that blind or low vision users use to code is screen readers. So they'll have basically a program read out what is on the screen, and from there they write code. And this works when people have a sufficient understanding of programming. So if they know what these concepts are, like variables and loops, and they know the grammar and the syntax of the language well enough to not have to directly be able to see it. But gaining that sort of intuitive understanding of programming is difficult even for people like me. And that's why we study computer science in college and in high school to learn these things, and it just makes it even harder. So we're really trying to focus on creating tools for learning in this case, and by helping like everyone learn, not just people like me, we sort of are able to empower blind and low vision users to pursue programming if they so choose. And in learning languages, we sort of try to include things like texture, so tactile responses, and rather than simply using a keyboard. So these could include like different buttons, dials, switches, and even things like rough or smooth textures, and as well as auditory feedback. So not simply using a screen reader, but having more intuitive feedback, like say when you press something, it sort of chirps or makes a sound. And as well as having a physical layout of what the program itself is. So like currently, like programs are, they are simply just things that exist on a computer, but you can represent them as letters on the screen. But if you sort of expand that idea, you could sort of expand into a physical space. So representing like what a computer would do as a set of objects, say on a board, or honestly, whatever your creativity can imagine. So that sort of leads into, I guess, the objective or goal of the project is to create introductory educational coding systems for blind and visually impaired people, and that don't rely on screens, keyboards, or mice. And this in itself is pretty broad. And we're hoping to be able to sort of produce a prototype or something small that's just a proof of concept by the end of this semester. So to sort of like reach this objective, a lot of the past work that we've done and that previous iterations of Team Sensible have done rely on using boards and tiles to sort of represent code in physical space, as well as using these little tile pieces to help build the code. So we can see like tiles that represent things that they're typically represented by lines of code on the screen or lines of text. And by giving them distinct features, like different textures and different shapes, we sort of create a physical parallel to what it would be. And sort of just expanding more or trying to explain more of that idea, you sort of start with these physical components. So these small isolated blocks or whatever, they don't necessarily have to be blocks. They can be a lot of different things. They could be dials, and just anything physical that can represent an idea. And we sort of assemble these little pieces together in order to form a program. So these little, I guess they could represent instructions, or I mean, different ideas in programming that sort of come together to create like a list of instructions, or a task that you would want to get done, like you want the computer to perform. And then on the technical side, to translate sort of this physical space into what a computer would be able to run, we're hoping to use computer vision to be able to read and analyze the physical objects. And then once the computer knows what it's supposed to do, it actuates like an output device. So something, it could be like a set of drums. It could be even as simple as making a noise, but something that allows the user to know that, okay, what I did, that like they actually did something. And sort of our approach to this is taking traditional programming interfaces and breaking them down into their constituent components. So things that every programming language needs to run, sort of the basic building blocks of what makes a language. And then for each one of those building blocks, we come up with tactile or auditory representations of them. So we'll see an example later on. And then once we get sort of their equivalent representations, we sort of build them back together into a language or just a system for writing code. So in order to achieve this sort of plan, we're hoping to have goals both in the short and long term. So in the short term, we're hoping to prototype the individual components, so all the little things that make up a programming language. And in the long term, we want to figure out ways to properly integrate them together. And once they're integrated, we want to be able to test and get feedback and iterate on the entire system. And in terms of scheduling, the first sort of component, which is variables, is finished. I'll talk about it in a second. And then the other 4 we're planning on working on in the upcoming weeks and months. So I'll quickly touch on our ongoing work, which is figuring out sort of tactile ways to represent variables. So what a variable is in programming is just a way to store a value. So much like in mathematics, you can have like a letter represent a value, like a number. In the same way, a variable, all it needs is a way to define the value and a way to store it. So it's like a container where you can just throw things into. And sort of physically, what we've come up with are shapes to hold values. So the user will be able to tell different variables based on the shape of the object. And then in order to assign values to the shapes, we have like these dials that can rotate. And as you rotate, you can feel the dial sort of click on different knobs. And that will help sort of figure out like what value the variable will mean. So like, for example, if we want, say, the triangle shape to equal 5, we just rotate the dial to 5 and that sort of assign the value of the triangle shape to 5. Since we're in Zoom, it's hard to demonstrate this, but if we were in person, I'd sort of bring out like our system that we made and sort of demonstrate it. But hopefully we'll have a chance to see it when it all comes together. Okay, and then Soham, who's my co-lead, he's not here currently, but he's sort of recorded a section to present. So I'll give like a quick introduction. The project itself hinges a lot on computer science and a lot of the technical background he'll be discussing. So sort of the software behind being able to detect different physical objects and make sense of them in a virtual space. So I'll just let him speak.
Hey, can anyone else hear? Because I can't hear. Anthony, you might have to add
Oh,
the
okay.
sound to it.
Try
Yeah,
sharing
no
your
worries.
audio.
Share my audio.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Is kind of the CV
Good.
or software lead. And my goal this semester, software side of sensible computing. Sorry, I couldn't be here in person. I have a lecture with a quiz every Friday at this time. So my role on the team is kind of the CV or software lead. And my goal this semester is to create software that's easily worked on by multiple members of the team. It makes it easy for us to detect objects and really accomplish the goals of sensible computing. So what are some of our short-term and long-term goals? So one of our long-term goals basically is convert these images of our programming language into a computer language that's easily perceived by the computer and can put out an output that's dynamic and engaging and really gets people into programming. But this is a pretty long-term goal with a lot of different issues we have to tackle first. One of the biggest issues we have to tackle is really understanding the limitations of different computer vision techniques. So computer vision is very different from human vision, right? With human vision, we have a mental understanding of the world. We know what's going on, and this gives us a big advantage when understanding what's going on. We also need to understand how computer vision will affect our hardware choices, whether we'll need additional electronics to add capabilities or things like that. And we'll also need to figure out exactly what electronics we need. So in the short term, to accomplish our goals, we've been exploring quite a few different computer vision techniques. So one of the biggest issues with computer vision versus human vision, as I kind of mentioned earlier, is the lack of model of reality. So a computer detects in 2D, right? There's only one camera, or that's our IM. There's a lack of distinct objects. So if two objects are overlapping each other, the computer vision may see them as one object. There's also a lack of other senses besides the vision or besides the vision component, like touch or smell or things like that. So there's a lot of limitations to computer vision, and it's very different, right? A computer doesn't understand how 3D objects can stack up. It doesn't understand how if an object goes behind another object, it doesn't fail to exist. So we're kind of teaching like a 1-year-old baby or 2-year-old baby how to perceive the world around us. So since we don't really know these limitations of computer vision without trying them out, this semester we're going to do a lot of testing to see what the limitations of computer vision are. And based on this testing, we're going to see what the boundaries of these limitations are and how we can push these boundaries to improve the capabilities of our computer vision. So one of our first goals is building a model of reality, right? When we see objects on a surface or when we see objects in the world around us, it's kind of easier for us to understand what the orientation of these objects are, what the position of these objects are. If we have a water bottle that's close to the camera, we know that it's big, and we know that it's when it's smaller or further away. We know that the water bottle hasn't changed size, we just know it's further away. Things like looking at a pen, when we look at it head on, it looks like a tiny circle, and when we look at it from the side, it looks like a long cylinder. We intuitively understand things like this about the world around us, but a computer really doesn't understand this. So our first goal is to kind of figure out how we can orient and position objects and get the computer to understand these things. Another goal of ours is to figure out what the minimal difference is between two different objects. Right now, I have two different black pens. They're very similar, but it's pretty easy for a human to tell the difference between these, whereas for a computer, it's a very difficult challenge. You may be able to identify that these are pens, but it may not know the difference between these two pens. So as we're creating a bunch of objects on our programming language, we need to figure out how similar two objects can be, or how similar two different things can be, and have the computer still understand that there's a difference between them. We also need to ensure that the computer vision algorithm, what it perceives matches what the user perceives. We may perceive things in a certain way, and the computer vision algorithm may perceive them a different way. As I was saying, like a small object versus a further away object, things like that. Another thing is we need the computer vision algorithm to bridge the gap between rigid objects that are static once a picture is taken with a lively programming environment where things can move around, where things have outputs, where things have inputs, and things where you really want to build a sense of like connection. So how have we started working towards these goals? So last semester, we tried some basic color techniques that were pretty naive. So things like modifying color spaces, which kind of means taking, if you've heard of RGB, where you have a amount of red in an image, amount of green in an image, and a blue amount of an image. There's different ways to modify that, where things you can get like the hue of an image, the saturation, or like how intense the color is. or the value of an image, or kind of how black and white it is. By adjusting kind of how you mathematically look at a picture, you may be able to make different colors pop out or make different colors fade away, and this can help sorting. We wanted to see if this was a viable technique, just because this technique is pretty easy and requires a low computation effort. So if we could get away with this, it would be great. So we also wanted to see how many distinct colors could be detected under different lighting conditions. So we have a blue of a mask, we have the blue of this water bottle cap, we have the blue of the mug. And these to us, or to me, and I don't have any color issues perceiving color, is pretty easy for me to tell the difference. But for a computer, if suddenly I turn on my desk light, those colors dramatically change, right? And since us humans have a model of how lighting affects the world, it's a lot easier for us to detect colors, right? So when I change my light, my face changes color. And to you guys, you know my face doesn't actually change color. You know I'm the same person. So that's kind of confusing for computers and something we have to tackle. An example of this is like the black and blue dress versus the white and gold dress, where we have an issue, or humans have an issue, trying to figure out what the surrounding lighting conditions are and how that affects color, and that makes us see different things. So with this, we wanted to see if only using color was possible to identify objects, and how many different colors we can detect. So after some testing, we realized that color just wouldn't work. With the amount of colors we'd have a very basic programming language with maybe only 4 to 5 distinct colors. So then we kind of moved on to shapes. So how can we use color detection and shapes to improve the amount of distinct images? Like a red circle may be different from a red rectangle or something like that. So we tackled this issue, but we tackled this, but still had a lot of issues. So inconsistent colors meant different shapes would show up. Like if the lighting on this mug was in different orientations, different amounts of blue would show up. Maybe like, shit. Sorry, I just poured a bunch of water on my laptop.
Yeah, okay, and then he records like another bit after he fixes it. Let me just get into that.
Everyone.
Next slide.
I actually forgot that that was a video for a second in my panic, and I was like, no, turn it off.
Yeah. It's all good. I think he got it sorted out, so we'll just let him continue on.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So what I was saying is that colors or shapes can show up differently if the color detection isn't good. So let's say we have this object. So as you can see, it has a yellow top on it, but if we put a shadow, now we have a dark side on this side. So it may not detect that as part of the cap. And now we suddenly have a different shape. So that's kind of the issue with color or simple shape detection. We also have different orientations messing up the algorithm. So one thing that's pretty slow is, let's say we're detecting the star shape. If that star rotates, the way we look at that star kind of changes. And it's also kind of hard to program if we have complex shapes. So it's hard, even if we get the edges of an object and the angles, it's a lot of manual programming work that needs to be done. So we decided that shape and color detection, basic shape and color detection just won't work. So now this semester, we've started off by tackling a more intelligent approach. So we're going to be trying to use existing neural networks to improve accuracy. So what we're using is a pre-trained neural network that's been trained with those CAPTCHAs you may see, or like I'm not a robot things you may see. And then we're going to be retraining that with our own images. So it can use kind of the learning it's learned from those images and our new images to get better at understanding our images. So the great thing about these neural networks is that they have a better understanding of different lighting conditions, of shadows and things like that. They can be easily retrained on our own objects with our own training data. And they're really good at detecting variations in shapes and objects. So this makes it a much more robust way of detecting objects than shape and color detection. Another thing we're doing is adding known references and data to our images. So we're using something called Aruco markers and April tags. So these provide a known reference and calibration. They're like QR codes that we can attach to different objects. So this allows us to track objects. This allows us to figure out if they're further away from the camera or closer to the camera, just because we know the size of those objects. They can be easily detected in different orientations and lighting conditions, and it overall gives a better idea of what's going on. So our future work, our team's working on creating software systems that allow us to easily modify these detection algorithms. We're going to do more work into figuring out the limitations of software and create documentation. So even after we leave the team, or if we may not be able to provide input, future people working on this project can understand what has been tried before and not go down the same path. We also hope to use robust software, like create software that can be easily modified by someone who isn't super familiar with our existing software. So it's easy to work on and expand the system. That's all from me. Sorry, I'm not here to answer any questions.
All right, yeah, and then so that sort of gives like a technical overview of the software side. I will say that the reason why we're spending a lot of time doing the software thing is that it's software in the sense is free. Like as opposed to like physical products that we produce, it doesn't take any like money or materials to ship a piece of code. So the more we can get away with on the software side of things, the less things the more cost we can cut from the physical components. So the less sort of tiles and pieces that the physical board may have to implement and things like that. So we're hoping that maybe we're able to do a lot with the software such that we can sort of drive down the cost of the physical components. Anyways, with that, that sort of wraps it up. I'll sort of open the floor for any questions or feedback, or if anyone wants me to go back to any previous slides.
Hey, Anthony, great presentation. Thank you very much. A couple notes. Just remember your core audience, like the folks that you're making this stuff for are blind, low vision users. So when you present at Lighthouse Labs, you got to remember to give image descriptions for like the things, like for instance, like when it was like a star or a circle or the dial, you want to give an image description for each of the images on the screen, because otherwise it's not accessible to anyone that's blind, low vision. So you got to remember that, because otherwise you go to Lighthouse Labs, yeah, they'll definitely ding you for that. So just remember that. Otherwise, I felt it was really good. I really liked how y'all used a recording of Sohom instead of just saying he's not here. I thought that was really nice. I thought that was good. I also thought it was interesting and kind of funny that he kept in when he spilt the water on the laptop. That was actually pretty good. It just, it made it broke up the monotony of it. I thought that was good. But overall, I thought it was a pretty good presentation. Just remember the image descriptions. And we can go over that at another time. And maybe we'll have a workshop on how to use image descriptions in social media and how to use them in presentations as well.
Yeah,
It's definitely going to be important.
yeah. If I can just drop in for a second, Nate, I think we just want to get you always doing it, and that's how we get better at it. So anytime, for any of the projects, we get used to doing it, and so that means we don't change how we do things if a blind person comes, which I think is important for people, right? In many ways. So, Carmen, who's going to be one of our Leonardo Cryptech fellows, is blind. And so it'd be really nice, if he can just drop into any presentation unscheduled and it's accessible. I think that's sort of the where we want to be.
Yep, sure thing. I'll make sure to put that going forward on all our future presentations.
Awesome. And that doesn't just go for you, that's everyone and anyone who's presenting. Dana has their hand raised virtually.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, because that's an important point. I was wondering if anybody has any examples of like how to build that into like slide presentations and what we say about the slides, so that, like you said, Karen, that it's like it can be for any presentation. I don't know if anyone's come across a good example of that, but if you come across it or have a good example, I would love to see it to learn from it. Or
Yeah, so I think Dave and I will work on that. So part of this new structure for the lab meetings is so we have like some classroom time as well to go over like, best practices for access, and not just, presentation access, but other things. So that's a whole goal, our goal in general.
thank you.
So I thought
We
fantastic.
we might have it.
Oops, sorry.
No, you're good.
I thought this was fantastic. You guys set a super huge bar for like the future ones. I think, everything you did was was really, really great. Like when we were working on this project last year, one of the things people did with the vision side is just called it Team Magic, and had basically came up with a structure that could feasibly work, right? So this is how the camera would look. This is what the board would look like, and this is a naughty problem, right? And KNOTTY, not NAUGHTY. So let's defer some of that. But we want, the vision problem is really key to it, but we don't want it to get in the way of actually beta testing the most important part, which is the actual language and the actual interface. And for now, what we can do, what Team Magic can do is essentially have a human, for now, look at the board and type in the language into they're the AI for now. But at some point we'll phase into like an AI, but at least we want to be able to take this to some kids and say beta test. Hey, let me play with the language, and the kids will play with language, and somebody's like furiously typing what they're doing. But I think that's a good way to so we can, I think for me, I'm going to ask for all the projects, like, what's your secret sauce? Like, what is the core innovation that you want? And for this project, I feel like the core innovation isn't the AI site technology, because I think, we're going to be taking off the shelf AI products and filling them with different things. The thing that's really publishable, the things that's the secret sauce, what makes this core is this notion of a sensible language, sensible in the sense it's sensate, right? It doesn't need a keyboard, mouse, or screen. It's sensible in different ways, and I think that's super, super important. That's what you guys can, that's what we can publish on. That's what is unique. So in that vein, I think you need to have a slide about previous languages. I like how you did that history of languages. I might even go further back in time and be like one of the first programming languages was the Jacquard Loom, right? If you did your history of CS, and how was the Jacquard Loom programmed? It was programmed with a tangible object. So there were tangible programming language. Or, back in the mainframes, before they had keyboard and mice, what did they have? They had punch cards. And punch cards are pretty tangible, right? You can feel them. And then what are the other languages that were developed? What's the prior research for blind access? And you can, I have some of them in the slide deck I shared with you. And you can say, these are just toys. They don't fulfill anything. They're not Turing complete, and they're expensive. So I think you need that slide again, that slide of, that's the wrong direction to go in. This is why, what we're doing looks really hard and people aren't doing it, but that's why this is a secret sauce. And that's what makes you guys this project special.
Yep, I agree. Yeah, I didn't really hop into the nitty gritty of the hardware side of things because I knew Soham was gonna talk for a while. So, but I think going forward, I'll put that little history thing and a little more motivation into our next presentation as well, just to make up for it.
Hey, Anthony, it was still a great job, man. Y'all set the bar really high, so still definitely kudos. All right, don't be too hard on yourself. We need to move on to the next presentation because we're a little bit tight on time. If y'all have any other comments, concerns, thoughts, maybe just email Anthony directly. Anthony, can you put your email in the chat? And
yeah, sure
CC me and Kyoko on it, please. And that way we can try to keep documenting the other notes. We're going to experiment and see what other type of notes we can do while doing these presentations and see what works better. But anyway, on to the next team. Pain Pals is up next.
Yeah. So that's I guess me today. Let me just get everything. All right, if I start slideshow, are you guys still able to see, or are you seeing my desktop underneath it?
I see a little person in a frog outfit.
Okay,
We do not
cool.
see your desktop yet.
Okay, cool.
I know. Whenever I screen share, I always get nervous that people are seeing everything else too.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I don't have anything that I'm personally embarrassed about. I just have some other stuff open that I'm doing for some like internships that I'm working and stuff like that. And some of that's like proprietary information. So I should probably just not just share it with anyone. But I don't think there's anything too important on my screen right now anyways. So I just like to be extra careful when I'm dealing with sensitive information. So yeah. Hello, my name is Oliver Puffer. I'm giving the presentation on behalf of Pain Pals today. I'm not a team lead. Ari and Abigail are the team leads this semester. And there's been some confusion about that. I've been looped in on a few emails that were meant to go to the team leads of Pain Pals, which is why I clarify. And of course, me giving this presentation today doesn't really do much to dispel it. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I'm just doing this now because Ari's out today. In the future, one of either Ari or Abigail will be giving these presentations. So this is our team. There's Ari, Abigail, myself, and Lee. I believe Lee is here today. We didn't have a picture for you, so sorry about that. But if you can send us one at your earliest convenience, we'll get it added to the slides. And if we ever need to use the slide again, you'll be on their face and all credited. So cool. So Ari goes by they, them pronouns. She is our team lead, one of them. And she's done video game design stuff in the past, working with me. We've made games like for game jams like Cow Rescue that I did a lot of programming on. And then I've also kind of worked with her on this like sock puppet game that we created that's like a sock puppet Mad Libs kind of thing. And it has like a very simple character creator where you like drag and drop like ears and facial features and stuff onto a sock as a kind of design your own sock puppet thing. It's pretty cool. I only did the audio coding on that though, so I don't really claim that game as like my design. I really just did some supporting work for them. Cow Rescue was ranked sixth out of 71 submissions in the 11th Scorespace Game Jam. It was a blast to work on. I apologize for the lack of accessibility on both of these games. I don't know for a fact that they're not accessible, but I do know for certain that we definitely didn't have time to add anything, because when you're doing a game jam, you're programming a whole game in like 24 to 48 hours. So if you try it out and it doesn't work for you, I'm really sorry about that. But if you want to check them out, you should be able to find them online. And if you're interested, I can send you links as well. This is some of the work that Ari has done before. She does a lot of pixel art, but she prefers to do like 2D drawing. She can design animations for characters, like walking animations, jumping animations, stuff like that. She has worked on user interface design, and she does video editing as well. Sorry, Ari goes by, I should clarify. I keep calling Ari by she, her pronouns, even though they prefer they, them pronouns. The reason I do that is because I hang out with Ari around a lot of people whom she is still closeted with in regards to. And so they have me use she, her pronouns for them because they do align on the femme side, and they don't trust me not to blow it. So if that's making everyone uncomfortable, I want to clear the air about that right now. I'm going to try to use they, them pronouns and switch back and forth. But, in the interest of not outing them around people they don't want to be outed around, I sometimes slip up. So I'm going to try really hard not to do that, but that is unfortunately something that I keep doing, and I'm working on it.
Thank you for that clarification, Oliver. It's super.
Yeah. Sorry. I hope I didn't make anyone uncomfortable with that. Not my intention. It's very specific situation, because Ari and I are really close.
It's all good, Oliver. I think we understand,
Yeah.
people don't want to be outed and haven't
Yeah.
been open yet with some folks, so don't worry about it. But we
sometimes-
appreciate the clarification. Thank you.
Right. We also have, so continuing then, Abigail is also on our team. Abigail uses she, her pronouns. She is excited about how technology is redefining art and like the innovative ways that people can use to tell stories nowadays. She's interested in the ways that artists can use digital environments to create embodied user interfaces and experiences that can connect people and create diverse empathies. And she is very excited to learn from everyone and interested in exploring how disability activism has ignored pain, or the ways in which there's not really a common language for pain and expression. So she's really interested in learning how we can represent both physical and mental pain at this character creator. This is some work that Abigail has done. You see a drawing of, to tell you the truth, I'm not entirely sure what that's a drawing of. Some building with like a domed ceiling and like some ornate building with a domed ceiling with statues, as well as a 3D model of the Statue of Liberty and a 3D model of a hand. Abigail knows like basic Unity game engine functions and does a lot of work with VR and Unity, as well as 3D modeling using Maya and other CAD tools, sketching, as I mentioned, and just general team organization. That is why she is another team lead. I don't know if you can tell from the way I'm giving this presentation, my organization, not present. And then there's me. So nowadays I mostly work in computer hardware. So I program and play video games in my free time, and I've been working here at the Disability Lab for a few years now, but I mostly work on computer hardware, computer architecture. That's what I'm doing, both research. Like I'm in a class that has us doing computer chip tape out, like manufacturing a CPU. And I'm doing an internship that mostly involves me verifying a different CPU. So I'm dealing with a lot of like hardware level, what's physically inside the computer stuff. That being said, I'm still more than capable of programming. Everyone goes through the programming stage as a CS, whether they go hardware or software. So I got it. I got you in regards to programming. I've also worked with the Disability Lab on the Radical Accessible Mapping project. That was a while ago. They've since changed so much about that project. So if you have questions about it, direct them to people who have worked on it more recently. But I did work on the Radical Accessible Mapping project. And I also manage the technology side of the Disability Lab website. We were having some issues. Some of you might remember that. I was able to work with OCF because I have some contacts there, as well as just kind of poke around in like the terminal and stuff on my own to discover that most of our issues were being caused by, our space on the server, the amount of memory that we were allowed to take up was just so full of all the content we had produced over the years, like videos and images. Sorry, was that my internet disconnecting, or was that somebody else like losing connection? Yeah, well, I guess it doesn't really matter. This doesn't really matter. So I was able to diagnose that. We were basically out of server space and have the open computing facility up us. That was great. I'm really excited to see where this project goes. I don't personally experience chronic pain, really. I have tinnitus on account of my hearing loss, which it's not really painful, but sorry, that's the ambulance just turned down the street. My tinnitus isn't really painful, but it's a present experience. So I'm kind of acquainted with like, how do you describe this thing that like doesn't really make sense to people who don't experience it? That being said, I am really interested to hear what the artists have in mind for this, because I'm really excited by the potential to create like a character creator system that can portray in a way that like makes sense to people how these things feel, because a lot of things like chronic pain are not visible externally. So I'm really interested in seeing how we're going to blend like game design principles with metaphors to create something that people, when they play it, feel seen. And I actually don't even know if we're playing it or if it's just like something you watch. But I'm really excited to see how we can make people feel seen that way. I know how problematic it can be when a character creator drops the ball on that. There's a lot of ways that that's happened, just even outside of disability, where like games like even Animal Crossing does this, where like they finally allowed you to play a black character, but they have no black hairstyles. So if you want to play a black character, I think your option is like you get the afro or something. Like that's the only like black hairstyle. Like it's really bad. And that's a game that's supposed to feel welcoming and peaceful, and like you can just kind of be yourself in this world, and people are just excluded. So I've that's something I've been following as an amateur game designer for a while. There's organizations that are working to fix that by creating like free black hairstyle models, stuff like that. So I've been following this sort of field of lack of representation in character creators for a while. So I'm really interested to see what we're going to do for this project. So these are some of the games I've worked on with Ari. I created one. These were both for class. So again, very, very strict deadline, working with technologies I didn't understand very well. So I just sort of had to throw things together. So if there's accessibility issues with any of these, like different devices, I can try to fix them. But I also can't promise I'm even going to remember necessarily how, because I wrote these in JavaScript, which is not how I've been making games since then. So it'll probably take me a while, and I'll have to see what I can do. They might just be designed from square one in a way that doesn't allow for accessibility, because these are, again, some of my earlier work. But if you want to check them out, I can send you guys links for that as well. The top one is you're basically in a hospital trying to avoid sources of stress when everything is stressing you out and making your this black ball of anxiety in your head get worse. And then the one below is about feeling out of place. I don't know if any of you are anxiety sufferers like myself, with both social and just general anxiety. But if you've ever been, if you've ever had to do a class project that just takes you way out of your comfort zone, like go to this really stuffy art museum and analyze several pieces of artwork and then write about it and then turn it in. And then there's the different layers that are added, oh, this is about somebody's very personal experience as a person of color or something. I don't know how to, I don't know how to analyze that in a way that's respectful, and I'm so anxious about even trying that I really wish I didn't have to do this. I tried to wrap that sort of feeling into that game. Just to spoil, just kind of, yeah, if you guys want to check it out, let me know. I can put links in either this chat or other things. I think I'm not 100% happy with how it came out, but I think it does an okay job kind of conveying the message. Yeah, so I kind of got into this a little bit on my slides, but our experiences with chronic pain. Each of us has a personal relationship with chronic pain. Well, my personal relationship with chronic pain is more so through Ari, who experiences chronic pain themselves. So we have some experience with chronic pain. Those who are experiencing chronic pain in the context of a medical setting are really excited to explore this in a destigmatized manner. Medical contexts kind of have to do go hand in hand with kind of dismissing pain or body shaming, the kind of oh, maybe you wouldn't, maybe you wouldn't be in pain if you made this lifestyle choice that's not really related, but could theoretically be through like 5 layers of indirection. And I'm just going to say this to you as a doctor because I don't know how to fix it otherwise. So the only thing that's left to try is like, you know, first, you know, going like just, you know, some unrelated thing that we can just kind of then sort of loops into making you feel like it's your fault. And question your experience. So we really hope that this can be an affirming project for people who experience chronic pain. And it's hard to talk about for a lot of people, chronic pain. So we want this to encourage people to connect with and through their embodied experiences. These are just our hopes for the project. So our game plan right now. So we're meeting with Carmen today at 2. And we have a lot of questions. Like, how are people going to use this character creator? Are they going to go to like an exhibit? Like, how is this going to be showed to people? Is it going to be like set up at a location, like a set location? Is it going to be distributed over the internet? Is it going to be a website? We kind of need to get to the bottom of that. We're probably going to employ an agile development methodology, which means we sort of add features one at a time. We start by just making a system that allows you to like have a character and like, I don't know, change like a few basic things about them, like probably some shades of skin color and hairstyles, because that's just important, you know, for representation. So, you know, maybe we'll do something like that, and then gradually add like, so maybe we add like one type of pain first, and then gradually try to accumulate more things while continuously testing our prototype and just ensuring that everything's still working. It tends to be the most effective way to do something like this, because you design your code in a way that like, if you realize that you've missed a certain like type of pain or certain experience that you meant to include, or that you really on, you know, second pass should have included, your code is designed in a way that's open to just add that in. So we're going to try to do that. But with that in mind, we really want to get to the bottom of what we need to implement first. Like, what is the critical inclusion has to be some forms of chronic pain, right? It has to be chronic pain, as much chronic pain as possible. But aside from that, what do we need? What does this character creator need to have? Hair color, probably, right? Like different height and body types, probably. If we want people to see themselves, we want to make this character creator able to match people as well as possible. Additionally, what technologies does it need to work with? Is it going to, are you going to export your character to some sort of like movie? Is it going to function like, I don't know if you guys saw this on the internet. There's like this aquarium somewhere where kids can like draw a fish on like this like fish outline and then scan it in, and it like swims on this like in this like digital fish tank that with everyone's like homed, like handmade, hand-drawn fish kind of swimming together. There's going to be something like that where like you create your character and then you kind of send them to this other system that shows you your character doing things. Is there going to be a game attached to it? Is your character going to want to like track your body so that you look at your character and you like move your arm and the character's arm moves too? Like, there's a lot of ways that this could go beyond just being a character creator that we will really need to be aware of in order to get started, to make sure we don't accidentally close off some important feature at the very beginning. And then
Hey,
just
Oliver,
from a yeah,
Oliver,
am I taking too long?
I don't want to cut you off, bud, but
Yeah,
we want to leave a little bit of time for feedback. Do you think you could
Okay.
wrap it up in under a minute?
Probably. I don't know how many slides I have. I was going to ask about, but yeah, I'll just blast through the end of this. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
I was going to ask about user data. Like, do they want a database of designs that people have made so that they can use that for something else in the future? Like, maybe they want to just save everyone's design and then create like a video or something with them later. So these are like some of our likely goals. research into preferred visualizations of pain. What metaphors do people like? What metaphors do people dislike, right? That's very important. We don't want to use a bad metaphor. I will be offering periodic coding lessons to people as well as coding sessions because I'm pretty fluent with a lot of technologies at this point. We'll have to do some character design because if the characters if it doesn't feel good or look good when it's done, and I don't mean look good as in like conventional beauty standards. I just mean like it has to look like it's put together well, you know, like it has to look like the arms are in the right place, and you know, like it has to look accurate to what we're trying to portray. Right, user interface design and prototyping, finalizing assets, applying assets to the program. That's about it. Feedback time. Sorry about that.
Thanks, Oliver. I want to open the floor up to a few questions. We have about 3 minutes to answer some. If you all have any feedback for Oliver, Oliver, can you please put your email address in the chat? And folks can email you. Please make sure to CC myself and Kyoko. Like I said, we're still trying to work this out for a better system, but this is it at the moment. Dana asks, has anything been looked at on disability and world building? Also, Karen, I nominate you for Pain Olympian rep for the Rad Mad Lab.
Yeah. Hey, so Oliver, I hadn't realized you guys hadn't met with Carmen yet, so maybe we like scheduled improperly. We should have had you scheduled after you met with Carmen. I think it's important. I think it's important to realize, you know, Carmen is the client and driving this. And
exactly.
And has his own like ideas about like what he wants to do. And I think when
I
you
hope
meet
to get
with
to the bottom of that like as soon as possible.
I think it's important when you guys meet at 2 o'clock that, you know, whenever you meet with clients, and this is just a general rule for everyone, whenever you meet with clients, you just let them talk for like the first half hour. And
for sure.
I think that's really, really important because I think if you meet with a client, and this is just a general thing, if you meet with a client and just talk about yourselves for the first half hour, the client's gonna get pissed off because the client may be coming in with like their own idea of what they want to do, and they might have said, oh, you thought like game like this type of game, but I meant like this type of thing, and it was something totally different. So when you meet with Carmen, just you know, I would be in like total anthropologist question mode, just like questions and not like, you know, I think this is a great presentation, like has the foundations of a great presentation. But after you get a much better sense from Carmen.
We need more content. When I was like listening to the other team present, I was just like, oh well, we don't really have anything to say really. I
scheduled you, like I think we scheduled you too early, but when you meet with Carmen, he's like really fantastic. I would just like shut up and let him talk. And like have good prodding questions. You guys did great. No, I totally realized you were in a hard position here. We wanted to give you some pain.
This is what pain feels like. No.
Hey, we gotta get a gold medal in the Olympics somehow.
Yeah, you suffer for your art.
Hey, Kyoko, what's the next team up? And thank you very much, Oliver. If y'all have any more comments for Oliver or notes, please send them to Oliver's email, and remember to CC Kyoko and myself.
Or you can send them to Abigail and Ari, as yes, they are the co-leads for that.
Okay, well, yeah, if Abigail and Ari are here, they can put their emails in the chat. Oh, thanks, Abigail. Okay, what's up? Who's up next, Kyoko?
Okay, next we have Team Toolkit.
Toolkit, all right.
Yes, and Oliver, if you could stop sharing your screen. So that...
Yeah, you got it.
Okay, let me make Abby a co-present. Abby, do you need access to share screen?
I got it.
Oh, perfect.
Okay, and shoot, I was gonna send something in the chat. Ooh, where did Zoom go? Okay, now I understand what all the professors are always saying all the time. There we go. Okay, so for this, I guess this is not like a presentation. This is more of us wanting to get all of you all's feedback and insight and reflections. So the motivation behind this is that we just want to collect some more information about how different people think about their own disability identity, your own experiences with ableism or things you've witnessed, and also kind of your ideas about disability justice and anti-ableism. So this is really just like an open forum. We have some questions posted here, and there's many different ways that you can participate in this. So you can just speak verbally. We're going to be taking notes. You can type just directly on this Google Doc if you want. You can type or add pictures onto the Google Slides, or you can email me with your thoughts. So any of those is totally valid, and just please just do whatever helps you to process the best. And yeah, so we're hoping to just get a better idea of, you know, especially when people are just first being exposed to the disability community. I know like for me, it was like, I didn't really understand how different it was. And that's something that like we talk about all the time, like the disability community is not a monolith. And I really just want to lift that up and to really just give insight into the nuances of each of our experiences, which is going to vary differently depending on what kind of disabilities that we have. And then if you're not disabled, just things that you've witnessed other people experiencing. Yeah.
Hey, sorry to interrupt. Dana asked if any way you could open up the Google Slides to non-Berkeley emails, please.
Oh, I thought I did.
Oh, Rosa just changed the settings. Never mind. We're good. Thanks, Rosa.
Cool. Thought I did that beforehand. Sorry about that. So this is just a space for you all to just voice your thoughts and express however you want to. So I'm just going to start with the first couple of questions, and then you can think about it for some time or talk or do whatever you want. And especially when we get to the ableism questions, I know it can be very triggering or uncomfortable. So please just take care of yourself and like step away. We'll be coming back together at 1:40 for the next presentation. So if you need to just like chill out for a little bit, just please do that and just take care of yourself. So the first couple of questions I just wanted to open up are, what are your disability pronouns or others that you've heard? And what does your disability mean to you? And how has it impacted the way you think about yourself? So it's really just getting down to, what does your disability identity mean to you?
Can anyone edit? I think we need to have edit access if possible. Yeah, it's only letting me view right now.
Should be able to.
Yeah, maybe
Let me
refresh.
refresh, yeah. Okay, I'm good now. Thank you.
Okay. If anyone else is having issues, just let me know.
Yeah, I'm just also adding in some of the other stuff on here, Abby, about like the, we have identity first, person first, and then I don't really know what to call the things, like the whole handicapable and differently abled stuff. I don't know,
Mhm. Yeah,
but
thanks.
yeah, Google even changed it to something else. You'll know what it is.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Dana, I see that comment. I said, how can we talk about disability pronouns without referring to medicalized diagnoses? It seems non-emancipatory at first, still thinking about it. And I just want to open up other questions, in case you haven't seen them yet. Examples of ableism, looking for literally anything that you can think of. What does disability justice mean to you? What would it look like to have a group oriented around disability justice? What does it mean to build an accessible anti-ableist communities in academia?
Yeah, no worries for those that, I know some of y'all have to run and do other stuff, so no worries. Cameron will make the recording available to y'all later. We still have a guest speaker who will be speaking at 1:40. What's going on with the screen, Andrea?
I don't know. It's just wearing. I'm stressing out trying to just get it to work for me. I don't know.
Which screen is it? Is it the Zoom screen or is it
I'm
the?
on the Zoom, but I'm trying to type my answers. Am I just typing into chat and it'll come up? Is that what I'm doing? I'm confused.
Oh,
So there's a few
it's
different options. I can resend the
Making-
links
Making
to
my head
everything.
hurt, literally. I'm like overwhelmed trying to get that.
Yeah,
no
you can.
Okay.
You can just say them out loud if you want. You can write them on the Google Doc or Google Slides or email them to me because I know that it can be really stressful to type when everybody else is typing too. So my email is in the chat.
Yeah, so that
Does
goes
that
for
work?
anyone if
Thank
they're
you.
having a hard time with the chat or the Google Doc. Yeah, just go ahead and email Abby your responses.
Yeah. Oh, and just for the record, I will detach everyone's name from things, just so if it's in other contexts, it's not connected to you.
Cool. Thanks, Abby.
Shout out to whoever's talking about being a twin and having to measure up. I relate.
Shout out to my fellow twins.
Oh my gosh, I had no idea.
Hey.
Hey,
Wait, y'all are twins?
Yeah, I have a twin brother.
oh my gosh, there's
Oh,
someone
Amon has
else
a
that's
twin
a twin.
also. Wow, how many twins do we
Aw.
have in the lab? Oh,
What?
Brittany has a twin too. Wow, there's a lot of twins in here.
Oh my gosh.
Look at
Karen,
us.
you're not a twin. Are you? Oh no, you're not.
Wow, there's actually quite a few twins in here. That's really interesting.
Oh, your twin is also at Cal? Wow. Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
No kidding. Huh. Wow, so how many twins do we have all together?
I'm seeing 4 so far.
That's actually quite a few out of a group of like 30-ish people, give or take. That's a lot. Like normally it's what, like I think twins are born, what's the ratio? Wow.
And me, Karen. Yep.
Yeah, statistically a lot just to get into one space. That's really interesting. Huh. That's cool. I wonder if we have the most twins on campus? Or one person from twins on campus? I don't know.
No, I'm fraternal.
Is everyone a fraternal twin?
Is everyone like brother sister or like sister sister or brother brother? What?
Brother, sister, fraternal.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm 2 minutes older. How about y'all?
19 minutes older.
Younger.
Notice how the older twins, we have it down to the minute.
Oh yeah. But like as you get older, it's good to be the younger one, I found. And I'm not.
Yeah, I still every birthday, because I just had a birthday, I text my brother at exactly the time I turn a year older and he hasn't yet. And I'm like, how's my younger brother doing?
Aw. That's awesome.
It's pretty funny. It's a way for us to kind of laugh at each other on our birthday.
Oh, I think our guest has joined us. Yeah, no worries, Dana. Thank you. Hey, Mizan, is it Mizan or Mizanur? I just want to make sure I pronounce your name right. Hi, Dana.
Is he really there? I don't see his name in the list.
Oh, someone popped in and said hi. I didn't recognize their name. Lisi?
Yes, I am Lisi and I am from CDI Connecting International. And
Oh, hi.
I think Mizan is not here yet, and he'll be here, very soon.
Oh, no worries.
Okay, I
Welcome.
think-
How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How are you all?
Doing good. Can't complain. You're just catching us at the tail end of doing some brainstorming. You want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. And yeah, I'm Lisi and I use she, her pronouns. And I work with CDI as a director of grant and fund development. And yeah, so apart from that, I also work as an Americorvista at Kansas State University here in Georgia. So yeah, and before that, I graduated from Kansas State University in Master of Public Administration. So
Cool.
yeah, this is me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, Lenore will be on at 1:40. They said that they're going to be about 10 minutes late from our earlier email. I'm not sure if you had received that email or not, but I just want to let you know.
DC, hi, this is Karen Nakamura. I'm the director of the lab and professor of anthropology. And sorry, my brain's a little off my day. Can you describe what CDI is while we're waiting for Ms. An?
Yeah, sure. So basically, CDI is Connecting Dot International. So it's an initiative basically based in Chicago, University of Chicago, in where Mizan is currently pursuing her PhD in there. So it's basically his idea. He founded this organization, then we got involved in this organization. And there are two basic parts of this initiative. One is there is a application, mobile application that is called CrowdV. The purpose of that platform is to connect disabled students and disabled people in general with the volunteers. Because in the university there are many volunteers. Students want to, volunteer their time, and so as for people with disabilities, especially for students with disabilities, they don't have, don't have any authentic source for volunteers they might need. So there is a need in that area. So through our platform, would connect these volunteers with those students with disabilities, and then the people with disabilities in general, so that and it's basically for non-medical purpose, not for medical services. For example, any disabled student might need to help with a grocery, or maybe some for whatsoever reason, for outing, or that volunteers will help with those things, and besides that, that volunteer will help them to get engaged in any community event, whether it is online or in person. So the basic purpose of that application is to help those disabled students, disabled people, to get connected with the community and to have some services along with that. So that is the main purpose. And I think Mizanur is in here and he can introduce you other thing.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lisi. Welcome to the lab. This is why don't we turn off the screen share? Whoever's sharing the screen. And so I met Ms. Noor early in the week when they dropped by office hours, and as he was describing his projects, I thought it was really fantastic, and perhaps at a place where many in the lab would like to be in a year or two. And so I invited Ms. Noor and also Lisi from CDI to come talk to about what they've accomplished and where they hope to go. And so is it Ms. Noor?
You can call me Mizan.
Mizan, can can you introduce yourself? And if we introduce everyone in lab, it'd take a while, but maybe when people have questions, you can use that as the time to introduce yourselves. But Mizan, can you introduce yourself? And
Yeah, sure. So my name is Mizan. I'm a doctoral candidate at the University of Illinois at Chicago. My major in disability studies. And also I'm a social entrepreneur. I run nonprofit organization, one in Bangladesh, and another one is here based in Chicago. So I'm a brown person with black eyes, black hair, and wearing a reddish t-shirt. All right, so and this is me.
and Greg, can you talk a bit? So I had asked Lisa to describe some of the CDI work,
Okay.
and she described the first part, which was the
All right.
the app to connect people to students. Can you talk about the other app?
Sure. So I'll take a few minutes. First, I want to share very small video with all of you, and then a PowerPoint with few slides. And then I think that will be good if you kindly allow me to share my screen. Oh yeah, I can share now.
Welcome to Connecting Dots International, CDI. CDI is a platform that aims to promote disability inclusion, diversity, and the development of 21st century skills. We are committed to creating a comfort zone where university and college students from any diversity group can exchange knowledge on disability rights and culture, share the beauty of diversity, and cooperate to accomplish their academic and professional goals. Our programs. Campaign for Inclusion. We run campaigns at educational institutions to promote disability inclusion. Activities include story and video interview sharing on social media and organize regular awareness programs. CrowdV, the volunteer program. CrowdV is a crowdsourced iOS and Android application which acts as a platform that connects qualified volunteers to people with disabilities. Training and research. CDI arranges regular training and workshops on disability scholarship and activism conducted by professionals. Drive for Disability Inclusion, D4DI. Drive for Disability Inclusion, D4DI, is a campus-wide contest to find the best disabled-friendly student organizations. Join us. Let's make a difference together. To learn more, please visit www.
All right, so thank you very much again for giving us a wonderful opportunity. Right now, from CDI, we have another wonderful two members from CDI, Lisi Desai and Madeline. So we are very excited and happy for this opportunity that we have a chance to talk with you and know each other better. And again, I'm going to share a few slides to share two of my ideas, what I have introduced first in 2019 at UIC. And we are working and seeking review and feedbacks from experts like you. So first of all, I'm just sharing some few I'm using a slides where I'm showing that every 4 person in the US, one is considered as a person with disability or disabled person, and that is, and also at the education level or in higher education level, especially in undergraduate level, there are 19.4% students have disabilities. And other side, at the university level, other side in the US, there's a 63 million volunteers each year they serve for the community. And another important point is here that 90.2% students consider themselves as consider that volunteerism in their essential goal beside their academics. So they want to serve as a volunteer. But the problem is their service is not for the persons with disabilities. They do different kind of volunteer service, and if a few number of them serve for the people with disabilities. Like almost 85% service is not for the disabled people or disabled community. And what happened then? that like around 30 million people with disabilities are suffer from mental health issue, or because of negative attitude and incapability of hiring caregiver or getting a peer they can when they need. Especially from our experience, we found that students with disabilities struggle a lot because when they come from come outside from their home or family members and live in a dorm from a different states. So there is no family member when they need. They only depend on caregivers, and that is not sufficient. And they mostly feel lonely, especially in Chicago during the winter time, in COVID, during the COVID situation, they're lonely, they're isolated. And they do not have or less opportunity to join the community service activities going on in the university because of different, I will explain later what is the reason behind that. So why this thing is happening? So we found that the problem is that why these disabled people, there is a lot of 63 million volunteers, but still disabled people are not getting them. So the answer we have found that like there is a lack of platform that can connect the volunteer with the disabled individuals. There is no such a specific platform that can connect properly. And also few platform is connecting volunteers. The problem is the student volunteers, they are not trained how to support individuals because they do not know maybe the disability attitudes or disability laws or best practices like how to support a visually impaired person or wheelchair person. So there's a lack of adequate training. And another thing is the security and motivation. So volunteer, when the student volunteer work for any issue, any cause, they always expect some service certification or recognitions because they need this for their professional career. And another thing is the individual sometimes is scared to get support from an unknown person. So there is a security and motivational gap as well. So that's why that 63 million volunteer is not always available for the disabled people when they need them. So what I was thinking that we can solve this issue very quickly using our smartphone. So I came up with an idea that is called mobile app, and we have built that mobile applications. And this application is very simple. It's like any person with disabilities or any individual or volunteer can sign up using verify their photo ID, phone number, and institutional email. And then there is an online training for the volunteers. When they join, they will be a silver member. Then they complete the training and pass the score, 80% score, that they learned something, and there's a quiz. So then when they pass the quiz, it means they are knowledgeable about disability, how to support a person with disabilities. So they will be a gold member. So support is like online or offline. For example, an individual needs support like entertainment related support, like he or he might be facing loneliness. So he can play with a volunteer like chess in computer together from a distance volunteer. So service can be 24/7, online or offline. And there will be insurance for the volunteers as well. And definitely the number of hours volunteer will serve, they will get automatic certificate automatically. Inside the app, there is an option to print their certificates. Similarly, like individuals on demand, cashless assistant, anytime they can get volunteers from any corner of the country. And recruitment is very flexible. They can go volunteer profile, they can see their activities, ratings and feedbacks, then they can choose volunteer for their and then anytime they can feel loneliness, they can get the volunteer. And professional skills, for example, our volunteer from diversified group, students from computer science, students from language, students from culture, different fields and academic. So if someone need any soft skill, so a volunteer can, online they can help other individual to improve their soft skill as well. And definitely there's a real chat option and feedback. If any volunteer or individual do any mistakes or any wrong things, there's we can it's like a Uber. They can give feedback and rating. So what is the difference between existing service and our service? So existing service mainly high paid caregiver, you have to pay per hour, but volunteer you don't need to pay because students are willing to serve as a volunteer. Just here in this app, the volunteer will be trained, dedicated, passionate, and they will get certificate from our side. And existing service, there's a third-party recruitment. So you have to request an institution, they will find some people and they will give you, but through the app, you can search by yourself, you can choose yourself. It's not medical focused, definitely it's non-medical. We only volunteer is allowed to provide non-medical support. So these are some differences through this app. So how we'll promote this? To promote this app and concept, we launch a contest. We call it D4DI, that I will going to talk later. So it's through this contest, we will promote this app, and then partnership. So today's meeting is little, we are seeking partnership with very prominent disability lab, UC Berkeley Disability Lab. So might be your guidance, mentorship, and partnership will help us to promote this concept and promote the inclusion for sure. And then social media campaign and reference points. So if a students refer to other volunteer, then they will get some points. So here is our team. We are diverse and from different backgrounds. So this is our team. I will not talk about this. So next, I'm going to talk about another program, which is mainly we are interested in right now to work with you together. It's called Drive for Disability Inclusion, D4DI. So in our society, what we see that every university, for my university, there are 460 plus student organizations. But from our survey, very few number of student organizations have disability inclusion policy or best practices. And another problem is that students with disabilities, they face several problems to join those clubs because they are not accessible, they do not have accommodation system, so they are not motivated to go, and they don't know which organization they can join to, for socialization, for enhance their skills. So this is not working for students with disabilities. And also those clubs, they do not have any specific knowledge, or that if a students with disability come to their events, how they will accommodate them. They do not have even the knowledge. They do not have adequate training. So these are the problem. And finally, there is a stigma, like different student groups, they're very smart enough, they're definitely emerging leaders, but the problem is still they have a stigma or misconception about, like, oh man, disabled students might not be a good fit for the leadership position. So they will just give them, and okay, you can come in our event, that's it. So there are so many things is going on, we have experience. Then I was talking with my few friends, and then we have come in this concept. So D4DI is a contest to find the most disabled friendly organization from the education institutions. By competing in this contest, participating organizations learn disability culture, etiquettes, policies to become a disabled friendly platform, aiming to ensure that disability inclusion for their organization. So how this contest work? So when we announce the contest, so each organization need to assign 3 persons to join. And then when they register in this contest, then every team need to join our workshop. This workshop provide them training on disabled friendly organization do's or don'ts, and also a 3-minute pitch preparation strategy. So there's 2 topics. We provide training on these 2 topics in the training, so that they have this knowledge that as a student organization, how they become a disabled friendly organization. And finally, after learning from us, they develop, participating organization in this context, they need to develop a plan for their organization, that what they are going to now do to ensure that their organization is disabled friendlier or accessible for all. So they will draft a policy for them, disability inclusion policy. They will design some events and program. They will develop a plan how to make their social media accessible, website accessible, and everything. And then they will make a pitch including that. And that pitch will be recorded. And then the all 3-minute pitch, video pitch, we will post on our social media. And there will be a judge panel and the judges will be review. I mean, they are expert in the disability field. They will review their pitch. What kind of plans each organization have to ensure that they are going to become a disabled friendly, and what kind of ideas they have. And also, so they have 70% point in their hand. And there is a social media voting as well. We want to ensure that general people, publics are also aware that which organization is coming with a great idea about disability inclusion. So 30% point is social media voting. And then we provide awards the top organizations. So last 2 times we organized, and that first the prize was $750 for the first prize, and second prize was $500, and third prize was $250. So then it's not the end. After when we provide this fund, it's not for entertainment. This is a grants to help to implement those plans that they have developed. For example, after giving the money, we mentoring them that they are implementing this fund, using this fund to ensuring the implementing their plan, what they have submitted. So after this last two contests, we found that before joining the contest, like 30% of the student organizations say they do not have any disability policies, disability best practices, or accommodation system. But after post-survey, after the contest, 100% student organization says, yes, we have disability policies now, we have a plan for disability inclusion, and that's a great success. So our first time, our chancellor of the University of Illinois system, he joined and he applauded us, and there are several organizations partnership with us already, and we have implemented this event. So our next goal is to make this contest nationwide for 2020 in the next fall. So we have few months on our hands. So we are creating a ground, like we want to present these things to this very prominent lab, and you have a wonderful team. We are seeking your feedbacks, your suggestions, your any idea to add to make this contest more impactful. And also we are proposing a consortium. Already we have talked with the University of Chicago. They agreed to join the consortium, the University of Illinois at Chicago. And also tomorrow we have a meeting with Harvard Law School Disability Projects. So we are excited to make a consortium so that together we can make this concept more impactful and implement it nationwide. Thank you for your time, patience to listen. And if you have any question, I'm open.
That was great, Mizan. Thanks. So how are you getting funded for this?
Okay, excellent. So I already shared that we have some partners. For example, the Great Lake ADA Center, the Access Living Chicago, and the Disability Cultural Center, and Mohsin. So these are some partner organizations. They are giving us money, financial support to organize this event. And our goal after making this consortium, we'll for the national event, we will approach to the corporate level maybe, or other bigger institution who might give us a bigger support to implement this.
Cool. Hey, this is Cameron Johnson. I'm the IT manager at the lab. I guess I know you had noted that providing adequate and substantial training was kind of paramount, and I was wondering how that training is, like who's doing the training, if it's outsourced, and if so, how are the credentials kind of managed? Thank you.
All right, sure. That is a wonderful question, because training is very, very important, because we don't want to see our volunteer going for a service, but making a bigger mistakes. We don't want to see that. So training is very, very important. So right now we have 3 videos, training videos we have developed, but this is draft. This is we call it piloting. And in this draft, there's a 3 facilitator. One is from the Great Lake ADA Center. His name is Mr. Peter. He talked about or facilitated on ADA and other disability policies. And there's another topic who is a faculty member, and she talked about disability definition, disability culture, and in the concept, social model, and everything. And the third part is about disability attitudes and disability best practices. So that is based on, there's another team member, she did it, but we are definitely working for the final project. We are looking for, still we are working on the final module, then we will seek more, professionals. I'm not sure outsourcing. We are thinking about, like, we are going to partner with the U Chicago and University of Illinois. Or maybe if you kindly come with us, then maybe an expert from your side can be part of the training.
Cool, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That's a perfect answer for my question. So appreciate it.
Thank you, Kevin. Any other questions or any suggestions, feedback?
Anyone else? Yeah, have thoughts?
Yep.
I thought it was a great presentation. Thank you very much for coming. And, I'd like to, find out more, and, I think find out more about what y'all are doing. And I really appreciate you coming here and giving us quite the insight, but definitely would like to talk more about it. I'd like a longer opportunity to talk more, because we only get such a short time to be able to talk and hear about what you're doing. So I definitely appreciate the presentation. I think I would definitely like the opportunity to, set up for like maybe a one-on-one meeting or a longer meeting that we can all meet and, just kind of spitball ideas and even get more thoughts.
That would be really, really appreciated. And we are really because UC Berkeley Disability Lab is, you have so many innovative ideas and you are implementing we have read and come to know that you have some wonderful projects. And we really need your mentorship, your support, because we're still students and you are professionals. So if you come and forward and mentor us, then I believe together we can really create a bigger impact in regards of disability inclusion. Yeah.
Ms. One of the questions I had was, what's the how many folks in your group are disabled, in your leadership group, or identify as disabled?
Yeah, so it's like 50-50 right now, and 50%. And at the, for example, the university level, it's 50%, we would say, because we always ensure to mixed group, like non-disabled and disabled. Yeah. For example, here we have 3 persons from our team, and it's like Madeline, Lacey, and me. I don't identify myself as a person with disabilities, but yeah.
Well, it looks like some people have to jump off. I hope we can make some more time to talk with you further.
Sure, Professor. We are really, really looking forward to it, and we want to work with you under your mentorship. I will separately email you for further support.
That sounds great. Thanks, everyone. I know we all have to run to our different meetings and subgroup.
All right. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.